Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I've had the privilege of speaking to a few of you just before, so welcome again. I'm here to talk to you about the importance of play in the development of babies. I've been a Montessori teacher for nearly 20 years that I sort of care to admit. So if you have any questions or anything like that, scream them out, and hopefully I'm quite sure I'll be able to answer them after all the knowledge that I seem to have over 20 years. But first and foremost, we're going to be talking about play and infant development. Okay, so what we're going to go through is play and infant development and what that means for your child. Okay, we're also going to talk about what is Montessori and why is it so important to play-based learning. We're going to be talking about supporting play in infants between 0 to 12 months because they seem to be the crucial time in a child's life. We're going to be talking about Montessori play, setting up a prepared environment for infants, and the prepared environment is quite important in a Montessori environment. So we'll go straight into the introduction to play and infant development. So what is play? Okay, what we're talking about is play is the universal language of childhood. That's how children play. That's how children learn. That's how children learn to talk, to communicate, to share with one another, to gain experiences, to gain memories. It's all through play. Children learn to understand each other and make sense of the world around them. So ever notice that when you leave a child in a sandpit, they go straight for the sand and they put them straight in their mouth? It's not because they're hungry. It's that they're actually learning. It's the textures that they're learning through their mouth. It's the textures of holding it in their hand. Okay, so what seems really, really, oh my gosh, my child's eating sand, is really they are learning through play. They learn different areas of development, and all these areas are enhanced by play. Okay, so even by crawling on the floor, they crawl on different textures. They crawl on concrete. They crawl on carpet. They'll crawl on wooden floorboards. These are all different textures that they will learn to feel through their body. Okay, we also have positive aspects in learning. You know, everything is about children having positive experiences. And we're also and not only about the positive experiences, but with all that comes the social, emotional, physical, cognitive, spiritual development that Montessori in itself has gone through ample development and research to. So we're going to present that today to you, As Dr. Montessori says, play is the work of the child. Okay, so when a child goes to actually play, we call it work. Or we call it lessons. Okay, traditionally that's what it's known as. The presentations and the overviews that we will be showing you a little bit later on is something that you can do at home yourselves. Okay, you don't need to go to the shops and buy all these expensive things. You can do a lot of these things at home yourself. And we're going to give you the Montessori perspective through it. Okay? Okay. I'm going to talk about pattern stages of development, and yes, I'm going through a little bit of theory now, and for those of you who are educators or teachers will know exactly what I'm talking about, and for those of you who know any of the stages of play will also know what I'm talking about, but for those who don't, there's a theorist called Parton, and she has been going through the stages of play with children. Okay, so there's a huge researcher, she's a theorist. She has come up with the first stage of play between 0 to 2 is unoccupied play. Okay? And this is the one that we really want to hone on, as well as number 2. And a little bit of number 3 and 4 as well. So unoccupied play means that the child is not playing but just observing. They may perform random movements, they coo or stand or in one spot. So they really look like they're not really interacting with anybody. It's also the power of observation. They are learning a lot. So when people come up to me and say, oh, but my child's not playing with anybody, they really are. They're learning through observation. They are learning through, have you ever seen a child that, there's one in the corner and they start to clap and then everybody else starts to clap around them? That's learning through the power of observation. So don't stress if your child is doing unoccupied play because it is extremely normal. Okay? Then they will go on to solitary play. This is between the ages of 2 to 3, when the child is alone and maintains focus on an activity. This seems to be the biggest stress in long daycare centres. My child doesn't have a lot of friends. They seem to be playing on their own. They don't want to really interact. Well, they are. They're learning through playing, what we mentioned before. They're learning through observation. Now, children need to go through these stages of play to actually get to the other stages of play. They need to learn how to interact with themselves. They need to learn how to manipulate the stuff that they're playing with. They need to learn how to just observe. Then we're talking about onlooker play or onlooker behaviour. This is when a child sits there and watches all the other children and they're intently watching them, and you're saying to the child, come on, off you go and play, and they're really not wanting to go and play. That itself is a stage of development. What they need to do is they need to order their thoughts. They need to order what's going on around it for in their universe in order to eventually go, okay, I want to play and I want to be part of this social group. And then parallel play, which is the one that everybody seems to know about, is that they sit side by side, but there's not a lot of interaction going on. Okay, again, that is part of the stages of play. They're actually gone from not interacting at all to actually sitting side by side. And then eventually they get to associative and cooperative play, where they're actually playing, they're playing in a group, they're playing in a small group, they're playing one-on-one, or they're playing, superheroes or whatever seems to be the latest craze at the moment. Okay, so when you go into childcare or long daycare or wherever you decide to put your children and you go, my children doesn't have friends, they do. It's just that they are going through these stages of play. So if you wanted to have more information about that, we have a handout at the end of our session today, or you can go online and have a look. Okay, so what are the benefits of play? Everybody decides that the play is the best thing. Adults play, we play one way or another. Children start to understand each other and their world. Okay, so in Montessori, we are huge believers in exploring their environment. Okay, so they get to explore what they're doing. It enhances muscle development. Okay, running around, skipping, jumping, let's play whatever. What's the time, Mr. Wolf, or whatever is that? That's constant movement, and which is part of the curriculum that we need at the moment. Instead of introducing children who only play video games like this, we're wanting them to get out. Okay, we're organising hand-eye coordination, catching a ball, kicking a ball. That's really, really important. Enhancing creativity and language development. All these different age groups that the children are interacting with is going to help with their language development. Children are going to learn how to speak in complete sentences. They're going to learn how to communicate with one another. Children will learn problem-solving skills and critical thinking. And they will also learn social skills. The social skills are actually quite important. These social skills will set these children up for primary school. So is it okay if I walk around and go like that with someone? They'll go, no, we don't do this in the playground. So they will learn all these social skills through play, and they will learn them very, very quickly. And also, it's a positive link between early reading achievement. If you're really, really positive and you have a really beautiful, bright outlook in life, these children are going to be instrumental in grabbing everything and exploring it. And that includes reading and writing, which is such a social exercise within itself, as well as individual. So we're going to be talking about now Montessori and play-based learning. Okay, so who is Montessori, or what is Montessori? Okay. Montessori was a doctor, the first female doctor in the 1900s in Italy. So she was a pioneer for her time. She was the first person who brought up a childcare centre. So she used to live in parts of Italy where it was run down. A lot of children had a lot of special needs, and she brought together her first childcare centre between the ages of 3 to 6, and it was called Casa di Bambino, meaning the children's house. Okay. From there onwards, she went through the whole of Europe, through parts of America, through parts of India, and set up a lot of schools. So it is, there's Montessori is universal. She also set up a lot of training colleges, hence me, I'm the Montessori trainer. Okay, so this is what we're striving for, to have Montessori implemented. So despite a lot of overwhelming odds in her time being the first female doctor, she set up a lot of things in her time. She was a pioneer. Okay, so what else she did is she made specific equipment for children to learn through. So she found that these children who had special needs had a lot more potential than what everybody else gave them credit for. So she made very specific equipment which helped these children, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, these children have a lot of potential. Oh, wow, how can we get that out into the greater community? So within Montessori, she saw that it was extremely important to have to help children be independent. So the biggest motto of Montessori is help me to do it myself. Okay, so we're helping children to become independent. We're helping children to do things on their own and experiment. So the key concept of Montessori, so these are the biggest things that you will find in the Montessori classroom, is the absorbent mind. This is when the children are they grab things really quickly and effectively. They will learn really, really quickly. Okay, it's almost like a sponge. All the information gets absorbed into their brain. The next part is the prepared environment, which is our classroom. So the Montessori directress will be trained. She will set up the classroom exactly and in order for every single child to go in there and find a piece of work, or find a piece of lesson, or find whatever they need to do. It needs to be calm. It needs to be ordered. The environment needs to stimulate children. Okay, so there are lots and lots of things in the environment that will help to do this. Control of error is the biggest one, because nowadays we sort of say, oh, don't let them do their shoelaces themselves. Help them to do it. It's okay. We'll do it up for you, so you don't make a mistake. Within Montessori, the equipment is actually gives the opportunity for mistakes, but for the children to rectify them themselves. Okay, so everything is called a control of error. So when you come down and see us over there, we have something called a pink tower. And the pink tower goes from the smallest cube down to the biggest cube. And they need to put it in absolute order. And if they don't, you can actually visually see if it's not in order. So that's control of error within itself. Okay? Sensitive periods. Montessori believe that children go through a sensitive periods in their life. And within sensitive period, they are the most open to learning something. So within the ages of 3 to 6, their sensitive period is language. The ages of 0 to 2, their sensitive period is movement and growth. So they are going to learn the most that they can in that short period of time. Again, they're going to be like sponges. And the last one is practical life. And these are everything that we do to set up a child to do practically everything themselves, from feeding themselves, to dressing themselves, to putting things away, to setting the table, to everything like that. All that practical life stuff that you do, this is what we set the child up at Montessori as well. So Montessori play-based learning, the learning is based on interest. What interests the child? And this is what the educators are really good at, because they sit there and observe your child to see what they are interested in and plan accordingly for it. The use of objects. Everything has a manipulation. Everything is stimulating. Everything. We have also talk about structure. So we talk about the overarching principle called the child's behaviour to be constructive for their development and their community, meaning that one thing leads to another. There's a beginning, there is a middle, there is an end to everything. Okay? Interactive lessons where children learn from one another, they learn from nature, they learn from the environment, they learn from other children, they learn from their carers. Freedom of choice. Now everybody thinks, oh my gosh, Montessori is really, really structured, there's no choice in the environment. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, Montessori actually does give a lot of choice for children, but the choice is you can go and choose what you like to do, and I will show you how to do it first. So there's no use giving a 3-year-old the multiplication board when they have no idea how to use it. But if they wanted to go and do as much practical life as they wanted to, or sensorial, they are free to choose what they want. Okay? And the last one is very, very important, where we say no rewards or punishment, but the work itself helps the child to move on. So the work itself, that achievement of finishing that work, is an achievement within itself for the child. So there's no rewards, there's no punishment. That's it's like, let's sit down, let's do this, let's move on. Okay? Supporting play in infants from 0 to 12 months. So most of you who have had babies or are having babies, from 0 to 3 months, their vision extends beyond their arm. They can see colour and high contrast. From 4 to 6 months, their visual and auditory tracking skills are being developed. Hand-eye coordination is starting to be developed. From 7 to 9 months, they're crawling. Their pincer grip is starting to develop. So this is the reason why we're giving them spoons to eat with. And from 10 to 12 months, they've got an increased sense of balance. So, if they're starting to walk, they're actually practicing that skill every day to get stronger and stronger. And they're starting to cruise along, and they're starting to imitate a lot of play and words. So within that, identifying the sensitive period is the threshold of developing a new skill. So what's a new skill? It might be from smiling to rolling to sitting up to standing to letting go and running. They're all new skills that we're talking about. How are they absorbing those skills? Well, they're absorbing them through observation, through the children around them, through educators around them, through the environment. Okay? And your child will strive to do a particular action. They will keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until they get really, really good at it. And your child will show frustration at this point. Okay? So be really patient. They're not, you've mastered it. They will too. But just be mindful of that frustration. And your child will constantly repeat it to master this skill. I remember one time my child was saying to me, I think I spent about 20 minutes saying car, 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 car for 20 minutes over and over again, and he went car at me until he got it. Okay, so it's that repetition that they need. Supporting sensitive periods, create a learning environment. Okay, that is calm, that is ordered, that they're able to explore and learn through. They're able to focus and think. They're able to learn to solve problem solving that we were talking about. It lays a foundation for our physical framework. So the early childhood sector has gone through a huge overhaul. We're part of the National Quality Framework, and within that framework is all that physical activities that we have to do with the children. Learn to recognise signs that your child may need a break. Sometimes they just don't want to do what you're wanting them to do. Okay? Observe how your child learns and extends on these activities. You are the best advocate for your child. Okay, so you are the best ones to come in and say, my child's really good at so-and-so, or not so good at this. And we're going to go on to Montessori play-based activities from 0 to 12 months. And so these are just a couple of things that you can do at home with your child. A treasure box. Get a spoon. Get a sponge. Get a tea towel. Get a little bowl. Get a whisk. Get a sponge. Anything that you think a child would learn from. And Michaela's kindly passing that around. Okay, you don't need to go and spend all thousands and thousands of dollars. All these things are in home, and these are our treasure baskets, and you can go through this with the child and say, this is a whisk, this is the noise it makes, this is a whatever, this is what it does. Okay, they're going to learn through exploration, they're going to learn independently, they're going to learn through language and touch. The next one is joining in on a rhythm. Thank you. Don't underestimate hitting the pots and pans. I know it's annoying for you all, but it's not for the child. Okay, the child will actually be learning rhythm. The child will be learning musical articulation. So is that a high note? Is that a low note? Is that a middle note? What are they hitting? Okay, yes, annoying to you, but not to the child. Sorry about that one. But yeah, pots and pans are the really, really best ones you could give them at that age group, and they love it. And introducing eating utensils, giving them the opportunity to feed themselves. And yes, I can see some of you go, oh gosh, really? And they'll make a mess. But yes, you know, in order for them to make a mess is in order for them to learn to eat. Okay, practice makes perfect. And within Montessori, everything in the environment is real. So we're offering real spoons, we're offering real bowls. And everyone's going, oh gosh, but no, we need to give them things that won't break. With it, you know, you're teaching them skills for that preparation of growing older. You're teaching them skills that, yes, a metal spoon does have a weight, so you can't flick it because it will go flying. You have to hold it correctly. And giving them the opportunity of getting the food everywhere, well, that's a part of learning too. So setting up a prepared environment. Make sure that, as I said before, everything is calm and ordered. There are very low shelves. Everything is developmentally appropriate. We're wanting to promote independence and exploration. You need to observe your child and extend on any activity. So if they're liking the pots and pans, or if they're liking feeding themselves, giving them a smaller spoon as they go along. And separate toys and materials. You know, keep them in individual boxes. Don't have everything thrown into the one box. Okay, so these are just some of the things that you can do yourself. You know, sensorial, fruit for language or practical life. You know, we've got colours, we've got the colour wheel, we've got anything from nature. Okay, holding leaves or flowers. Animals, there's a little boy banging on the pots and metal pans again. Again, you know, spooning or pouring is a really good activity. Children, you know, what we're trying to do is giving them that socialisation, what we were talking about before, and actually having familiar pictures of themselves and their family members. All this is going to help with cognitive development, language development, and so forth. And where to from here? Hopefully you enjoyed what we had to say, and if you'd like to come and see us at stall C44, we're down that way. Anyone have any questions? Yes. Yes.
Do you find that they will keep going back to that, or do they grow on from that, or is that where the trainer comes in, so tailors something for them?
Once they've mastered what they have, so say for example it's pouring. Once they've mastered pouring, they automatically go on to something else. And yes, that's for the Montessori director to go, I'm going to show you something else to do so you don't get bored. Yep. Anyone else? Yes, we've got a handout, yes? Somewhere? Yes, we do. Thank you very much, everyone. It was a pleasure to speak to you all. Thank you.